Hey everybody, welcome to today's video. My name is Montana Buck. Today I sat down and I created this really fun blue eyeshadow makeup look for you guys. We have a lot of different blues going on and a really thick drawn out winged liner, which is my favorite. Some nice lashes and some long wavy hair. So if you guys are interested in how I created this face right here, then just keep watching. Alrighty, so first things first, I want to moisturize the skin. So here I am picking up my Clinique Moisture Surge Intense. I got this at Ulta, and what I like to do is just get a little bit of it on the top of my nail. Please remember to wash your hands with warm water and antibacterial soap before using your hands to apply any sort of makeup product or skincare product. So just want to put that little disclaimer out for you guys before we get started. I'm going to go ahead and begin applying the moisturizer onto my skin. I also like to take this down the neck as well. And then I just want to avoid the eyebrow area as best as I can, because I do find that this moisturizer, when I go in with my eyebrow products, sometimes my Anastasia Dip Brow Pomade starts to slide around a little bit and almost get not like greasy but a little bit patchy from liquidy texture of the moisturizer. Now that we have our skin moisturized, I'm going to go ahead and grab that Anastasia Dip Brow Pomade. I'm going to slap on some eyebrows off camera and I will be right back. First thing I'm going to do is pick up my L'Oreal True Match foundation here in the shade Natural Buff N3. I've gone ahead and got a little bit of the product on the back of my hand, and I'm just going to begin dotting the foundation all over my face. I really love this foundation, and it has very quickly become my #1 most used foundation. And I do have oily skin, and I don't find that this makes my skin too oily throughout the day. So I'm going to pick up my foundation brush. This is the Sigma F8 Kabuki Flat Top Brush. And I'm just going to begin swirling and buffing that foundation into my skin. Just like that. And now that we have our foundation applied onto the skin, I'm going to pick up the same concealer that I used to carve out these eyebrows. It is the MAC Pro Longwear Concealer in the shade NC20. I have pumped a little bit of it onto the back of my hand. I'm just going to pick it up with my finger and dab it onto the darker areas of the under eye just to lighten those areas up a bit. I also want to add a bit of this on the center of the nose and on the chin as well, as these are some areas of my face that tend to get a little bit more oily throughout the day. Next, I'm picking up my Too Faced Loose Translucent Setting Powder. This is the Born This Way collection Loose Translucent Setting Powder. Just tapping some of that into the cap, and I'm going to pick up one of my Morphe brushes really quick. This is the Morphe M438 tapered brush. I'm going to dip this brush into the cap with that loose translucent powder, and we're just going to begin to lock in that concealer in the under eye as well as on the nose and the chin. Paying close attention to the sides of the nose, as that is an area that I do tend to get pretty oily throughout the day. Also on the lids to prepare us for when we go in with our eyeshadows. Here I'm going to pick up my Too Faced Dark Chocolate Soleil Bronzer. And this brush that I purchased at Target, this is an Eco Tools blush brush. We're going to use this brush to apply our bronzer. So dipping into that Dark Chocolate Soleil, I want to begin at the top of the ear and then stopping right about here. And we're going to begin applying our bronzer. I also want to work this product in the area of the temples and along the hairline as well. I also want to take some of the bronzer underneath my neck. And then just a light dusting across the chest, just to make sure that our chest and our face are matching. Now picking up a smaller blending brush here, and I'm going to run this down along the sides of the nose, just so we don't leave this part of the face out. I want to warm this part up too, just so the nose doesn't get lost. Almost like dragging this bronzer up into the inner socket of the eye and up into the brow, just so that these colors really blend seamlessly and you have nice even symmetry throughout the entire face. Like so. I want to pick up another bronzer here to deepen and darken the warmth on the face that much more. I'm picking up the Milani Cosmetics bronzer. This is the shade 06 Golden. This is a Revlon blush brush. I'm going to very lightly just tap that into the bronzer, as this is a very dark and very warm shade for my personal skin tone. Sometimes it does come off a little bit orange, so I want to go very light-handed with this, and I only want to apply this bronzer in very targeted and specific areas of the face. Now, what I mean by that is I want to stick to just the hollows of the cheekbone and the temple. We're kind of going to ignore the nose for this step, as I did say this is a very orange-based bronzer. So we're going to go ahead and do that, starting very high up into the temple, and then slowly, as the product starts to leave the brush, stop right about here. Go ahead and get that jawline. Let's hold my earring out of the way. Now that we're all done with our bronzers, we're going to go back in with that Too Faced Loose Translucent Setting Powder and one of my, where is it at? My Morphe Contouring Sponge. So pressing it into that powder from the cap like so. And then starting from the corner of the mouth and then dragging it all the way up to the top of the ear. Use the whatever's left of that powder on the sponge and stamp the sides of the nose. I find that this helps clean up the warming up of the nose bronzing that we did a little bit earlier. As you can see, it looks much more structured and even a little bit more natural. It does soften up that bronzer a bit, doesn't it? We're going to let this bake for a couple minutes, and we're going to go in with highlighter. The highlighter that we'll be using today is by Becca Cosmetics. This is their Champagne Pop Highlight. Picking up my beauty sponge, I'm going to get it a little bit wet with my MAC Fix Plus spray, like so. Really soak it up. Give it a little bit of a squeeze. You don't want it to be soaking wet, just a little bit damp. And I'm going to lightly press the sponge into the highlighter and begin pressing the highlight into the high points of the cheekbone. And it's going to give you a very nice, light reflective like this. Gonna do the other side as well, like so. I'm also applying some of this above the eyebrows, just so that it creates a nice balancing act between the two highlighted points of the face. I don't want to have super beaming cheekbones and then have the rest of my face to be looking super matte. So I like to do this. This is just a fun little tip for anybody who likes to use highlighter in their makeup routine, just to make sure that everything's balanced as well. I'm adding a little bit of this on the tip of the nose, and then leaving a gap about here and targeting the rest of the highlighter right on top of the bridge of the nose. Now that we have our highlighter applied, I'm going to go ahead and pick up this fluffy brush here, and I'm going to use this brush to begin dusting the bakage off of my face. I'm going to go ahead now and quickly spritz the skin with some MAC Fix Plus setting spray. Or not setting spray, but you know, MAC Fix Plus spray. And we will be completely done with our face. Now that we're all done with skin, we can move on to eyeshadow. This is my favorite part of today's look, and I'm so excited to do this. Ooh, I can't wait to show you what eyeshadow palettes we're using today. Okay. The first one being the Anastasia Beverly Hills Riviera Palette, as well as the Morphe X Jaclyn Hill Dark Magic Palette. Now, let's get started. So the first color that I'm going to pick up here is this neutral beige tone, sort of gray shade, and I'm going to pick that up on a fluffy brush, and I'm just going to begin buffing and blending this shade into the immediate transition area, starting from the outer corner, and then as the product begins to leave the bristles, I'm going to slowly but surely drag it more closer towards the inner corner, stopping about halfway. Same thing on the other side. Then picking up this brush here, this is a Sigma brush. I believe this is the Sigma E25. I'm going to go ahead and pick that brush up and dip it into this shade right here. This is the shade Busted. And I'm going to layer this blue just right on top of that neutral gray tone that we initially applied on the transition. So starting from the very outer corner, and then slowly as the product begins to leave the bristles, kind of stamp it and drag it towards the inner half and stopping just about 3/4 of the way in. Then picking up another Sigma brush here. This is, I believe, the Sigma E40 blending brush. I'm going to use this brush with no eyeshadow on the bristles, and I'm going to begin feathering this shade out so that it becomes more smooth. I think I want to do this step twice just to build that color up a little bit more. So picking back up the Sigma E25 and then just packing that blue all the way around. And then blending the blue with the E40. Go ahead and do the same thing on the other side. Just packing that blue in, and then going back in with that fluffier E40 Sigma brush to buff and blend that blue. Now I'm going to pick up a little bit of a different brush here. This is one of my concealer brushes from Eco Tools, and I'm going to pick up Revolution Conceal and Define, and I'm going to pick up that applicator and get a little bit of the product onto the back of my hand. And then I'm just going to start working that brush into the product. We're going to use these two together to cut our crease so that we can go ahead and lay down some more eyeshadows. Same thing on the other side. Now, picking up the Riviera palette, I'm choosing this shade here called Seychelles. And using this fluffy packing brush here, I'm going to pick up some of that metallic eyeshadow right on top of the concealer that we just laid down. That is so pretty. Oh my gosh. I love it. Now that we have that absolutely gorgeous eyeshadow laid down in the center of our lid, we're going to go back into the Morphe palette, and I'm going to pick up that same blue shade again. I'm just going to begin buffing and blending that blue into the lower lash line, starting from the outer corner and then going straight to the inner corner. Same thing on the other side. I want to pick up a little bit more of that same blue, and instead of pressing that into the lower lash line, I'm just going to press it again into the outer corner, just to sort of blend those two blues together so we have a nice seamless transition going on between the two. Tintin has decided to join us for the party. Say hello! Yeah. Yeah, she says hi. Same thing on the other side. Now we're going to highlight our eyebrow bones. So I'm going to pick up this white shade right here called Sails from the Riviera Palette. This Sigma E45, this is one of their tapered blending brushes. I find that it's really perfect for getting right in that inner corner and for sharpening up the eyebrow bone. And I'm just going to target this white shade just very close and snug up into the brow bone, just to give us a little bit of a lifted effect. Same thing on the other side. Also want to press some of this right into those inner corners. Now we're going to pop in with some NYX liner. This is in the shade Milk. This is their jumbo eyeliner pencil. I'm going to run this down along the lower half of my waterline. Then popping back into our Anastasia Beverly Hills palette, the Riviera, I want to pick up some more of that blue color. And I just want to pop this shade right in the center underneath, just to give us a little bit of dimension in that blue. Okay, now that we have our eyeshadows totally finished, I'm going to move on to eyeliner. Here I'm picking up my NYX Professional eyeliner pencil. This is their slide-on eyeliner pencil in the shade Jet Black. I'm going to begin applying this on the upper portion. Now that we have this lined, I'm going to go in with a felt tip liquid eyeliner. Looks something like this. Alright, so now that we have some nice wings going on, I'm going to put some glue on my eyelashes and we will apply our false lashes. I'm going to go ahead and let that first layer dry down a little bit, and then we're going to go ahead and actually apply a second layer of eyelash glue. I just find that that's just what works best for me personally. I find that if I just apply one single layer of the lash adhesive, that if I'm wearing my lashes for longer than like maybe 5 to 7 hours, my inner corner starts to lift a little bit. And just so to make sure that we skip that potential problem, I just want to make sure that the glue is super sticky and that we're not going to have that issue throughout the day later on. Here's an up-close image of the eyelashes that we're going to be using today. These are by the brand Allure, and they are in the style Opulent. These are my favorite eyelashes to wear on like an everyday basis. These are always my go-to because the lash isn't very heavy and it's not very thick, so it's definitely not uncomfortable, and they look pretty natural considering they are false lashes. Some lashes that claim to be super volumizing and dramatic tend to be very heavy on my eyes, so I always lean towards a lighter lash that has a little bit of a longer and wispier effect on the outer corner, and then the lashes, as they get closer and closer to the inner corner of the eye, they start to get a little bit shorter. Because I have hooded eyelids, it helps my eyeshadows to show through those lashes, so the eyelashes are not like swallowing up my entire eyeshadow look. So that's why I really love these eyelashes. They're just my perfect everyday eyelash. These lashes are so pretty. I just love them so much. Moving right on to a lipstick, I'm picking up this pencil by NYX. This is their Suede Matte Lip Liner collection in the shade Los Angeles. And then right into lipstick on top, I'm picking up this one by MAC Cosmetics. And this is in the shade Very Sexy. Just gonna pop that right on in the center. Like so. And then to top off the lipstick, I have a gloss here. This is by a brand called ColourPop. This is their Ultra Glossy Lip in the shade Snow Day. The only thing left for this look is to top ourselves off with a little bit of Fix Plus. So I'm going to spray my whole face. And we are all done, you guys. This is the finished look. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today with this very bold and bright blue eyeshadow look. I hope you guys enjoyed watching it as much as I enjoyed creating it for you. Please like and comment on the video and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I appreciate all of your guys' love. Thank you again, and I can't wait to see you in my next video. Bye-bye.